Okay. Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today, guest is transforming how small and medium business scale with the power of enterprise-grade automation. Imagine running your small and medium business like a Fortune 500 company. That's the vision Alex Barnett is bringing to life with wise own automation. Let's dive into his story and how he is making efficiency accessible to all. Hello, Alex.
Howdy. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Before we get into your company, Wise All Automation, tell us about yourself, your background, and what industry have shaped your journey.
Sure. So, my background was actually customer support. I started in the trenches, tier one, answering phones and chat messages. And I worked my way up into tier three, which is like handling the escalations to engineering. So, identifying edge case issues and then documenting it for engineers. Later, I moved into operations engineering, which is essentially developing and improving the efficiency of the standard operating procedures, so the how-to guides and the processes, the business logic. Then managing integrations. Then I became like the tech and integrations guy. I moved into program management, where I was responsible for the analytics and the SOP library for the company. And then I moved into product management, where I was responsible for the self-service tooling, the internal tooling, and the automation for the customer support department. So that's been my background. I did that, and then I left to start this company about 2.5 years ago.
Mhm. And it's very interesting moment. What was that aha moment that made you say, "I have to build this. I have to build this my own company, my own startup."
Yeah, I think the thing was that there was a I mean, realistically, the actual moment that made me decide was using GPT and seeing how much potential it had to disrupt the market. I firmly believe that I mean, it's not going to overnight change everything, but it's one of those things that, we only see this kind of disruption once a decade or so. So it's, the internet, cloud based computing, now it's AI. So that was kind of I thought that I was perfectly positioned given my background. Writing standard operating procedures makes me a really good prompt engineer. Plus, I had experience doing AI automation at scale. It was just kind of like a trifecta. And not only that, but the customer support industry was also ripe for disruption with this technology, right? So all of those things together just kind of made me realize, oh man, this is something that I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want to get out of working for a company and start my own company, kind of break through that ceiling, right? There's not a ceiling when you own the company, like there is when you're a salary worker. So no, that was
Yeah. Yeah. So let's dive into your product. In simple words, what is a Wise All Automation? And I know that you're making another startup. You can mention about your another startup.
great. So at WiseOwl, we're essentially a consultancy that just helps companies implement automation, AI, any of the problems that they're having. We One of the phrases I like to use is that we un-F things uh, that other companies have promised and failed to deliver. In particularly, like AI-based initiatives, we typically go in and just ex- uh, identify, hey, did the expectations they give you, were they realistic or not? And then what? Usually, it's foundational stuff that's missing that enables that. Um, so the rebrand that we're going through right now is we've developed a SaaS product. It's called Make Data Speak Human, and what we do is we essentially build that foundation for AI automation. Plugs directly into your CRM, and it auto indexes and categorizes everything for you. So it builds a custom index based on the tickets that are coming into your support department. and then it builds a classification system that can then be used by an AI. So it fundamentally solves the problem of how does an AI know what the person's asking, and then how does it pair it to a standard operating procedure. But our platform is made to distill that down into actionable insights, right? So um, basically, anyone in your company can understand, hey, how did this product launch go? Or we just pushed out a patch. What are the customers saying? No longer do you have to ask the support manager. You can just pop open our app and see.
Awesome. Uh, Automation, artificial intelligence, and customer support is very powerful combo. How did you bring these elements together, and what role does AI play in your solution and advices?
Yeah, I think the mistake that a lot of people make is that they just want to shove AI into everything, and it isn't a magic bullet. It's actually non-deterministic, so it can cause a lot more problems than it solves. So you have to use the right tool for the right job, right? Um, the things that it's good at are non-deterministic actions. So an example of this is, say you want to run quality assurance on on a support interaction. That's something that's good for AI because you can develop a rubric, and normally you would have a rubric and then a human being go through it and make judgment calls of, oh, this is a 5 out of 10, this is a 7 out of 10. Well, the AI is actually really good at doing that at scale and consistently because the only input it has is the rubric. Um, so yeah, I think that's really the secret to success with this stuff is using it for the right job. And in any scenario where you can use a simpler tool than I would recommend doing that first.
Walk us through the customer experience, customer journey map from first call to result. What does a client go through? I mean, you work on B2B market, right? In
Hmm.
this.
Yeah, and this is with Wiseowl.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so we typically sit someone down, and we just do a free hour-long discovery call. This is, people say, how can you offer that for free? And the truth is that, I get a lot out of it because I get to learn about your industry and your business. Like it's kind of like talking to a doctor. Um, not that I'm an expert in every business that I go into, but I know how to find inefficiencies in business processes. That's what I'm an expert in. So we sit down and I get to learn about your business, your industry, and then I typically come back at the end of it, like with a few suggestions. Oh, here's some advice on things that I think you could do. Here's a few suggestions on areas that we should improve or dig deeper into. And if they like that feedback, a lot of times I'm seeing, are we a good fit for you, right? It's not just, can I sell you stuff? Um, the second part is, if they like the advice, then we'll do a deeper dive. And I'll usually come back with a proposal at the end of that. So we'll do another hour, hour and a half, something like that, and I'll give them a proposal for different projects. So like a statement of work, and then once they're okay with that, we give they basically approve the budget, and we will then agree to it and start executing, right? And yeah, and just execute on what we've promised. And there's usually a feedback loop at the end. And the other part of it is I try to build solutions in third-party tools for companies that don't have a budget to retain me indefinitely, just because I don't want to lock people into a service contract. As much as I'm not a no code guy, it's a little bit more convenient for the really small businesses. But yeah, that's kind of the whole flow.
And Alex, can you share a specific example of how your advices, solutions made the client's operations smoother or more cost effective?
Sure. So one of my customers, my first customer, he is an insurance claim adjuster, and a huge amount of the work or the overhead of his company is communicating with the tax, or sorry, not the taxpayer, the insured, and the insurance company. They're kind of the liaison between them. So they have to talk to the insured person, they have to get a bunch of documents together, then they have to go and talk to the insurance company. And they're kind of playing middleman back and forth, helping the insured be protected legally. And so this means that there's a lot of phone calls, a lot of texting, a lot of document requests. And so what we did is we worked with a company named OpenPhone to implement a phone system for them. OpenPhone has built-in automation and routing, and actually they have an AI answering service now. It does free, not free, but it does transcription. Um, and we set up a webhook that will basically take the transcription of the chat or of the call. So someone calls in, it's a new lead. They ask them the questionnaires, and actually we have the AI doing this now. It asks them all the questions to verify the lead. It saves those into a text document that then gets pushed to their Slack where they can approve or reject it, or edit it. And if they, once they approve it, it then pushes directly into their Salesforce integration. So there's no longer any data entry. It's just approve, reject, or update. Um, that saves them about 30 minutes per call, something like that. So
And how do you ensure your automation solution feel human and customer friendly, not cold or robotic? And what's the secret of balancing tech with a human touch? I think it's most important question now in AI industry.
that's interesting. I think it depends on the solution, right? A lot of the times, or a lot of the time, it's a trade-off because making it feel more human often makes it less predictable, and that can be a problem in business. Um, so I think the first thing is clearly understanding your requirements and the risk of failure. If you have a solution where you don't want the AI to, I don't know, tell them to invest in Bitcoin, because they're asking for help fixing their car, right? Like that's something that would feel really human, like you're at the store talking to somebody and they're explaining to you this new crypto that they learned about. Yeah, that's a really human interaction, but it is not a good business interaction. Um, so, yeah, I mean, really making it feel human is pretty easy now with LLMs. You essentially just have a RAG system that will take the outcome. So once you know what the issue is, you match that to the standard operating procedure, and then you just feed that into the prompt. It's called in context learning, and it allows the LLM to answer it. You basically say, given the following documentation, answer this person's question using only the information that's in the documentation. Then you give them the documentation and the question, and then it writes an answer. So it's really good at being that translation layer between the human and the system. That it does a good job of making that feel human, but the balance is guardrails. You have to have subsequent checks like, did it violate our guidelines for behavior? Did it use terminology we're not allowed to use? Does it match our brand and style guidelines? Those kinds of things. Did it match the SOP exactly, or did it lie to the person because it was hallucinating? So yeah, it's a balancing act between those two things.
And let's talk about market. Automation market is booming. Gartner predict that by 2026, 80% of business will use some form of AI-driven automation. And why is now the perfect time for Wise own automation to make it smart?
Hmm. Yeah, this one I think is pretty simple, right? The adoption cycle for new disruptive technology is usually around 7 years. But in that same vein, there are still companies using fax machines, right? What we do is at WiseOwl, as the consulting side of things, is we don't actually sell a solution to people. It's more like we're the people. It's kind of like the TaskRabbit person that comes in to hang your TV. We're not selling you the TV. We're making sure that it's set up in your living room exactly how you want, and it is useful for the thing you bought it for. It's kind of the same with us and AI solutions, right? You say, "Oh, I have this need. I want to get this thing done." We say, "Great, let's go find a solution for you." So the reason this time is great is because the landscape is evolving rapidly. It's too much for even us as experts to know everything about. So it's a really good time for people that live and breathe this stuff to make money disseminating that knowledge as a service to people that don't have the time for it.
Awesome. Alex, the market has a big players like UiPath and Automation Anywhere companies, plus tons of niche tools. How does a Wise old automation stand out in this crowd space? What is your competition advantages?
Yeah, so the real answer is that you can't just stand out as a consultant in this space unless you have something like a huge social media following, you're documenting things, or you have a bunch of money to spend on advertising. So it's really about setting your expectations right and figuring out what your strategy is. So on the consulting side, it's all human to human interaction, which is hilarious because we're an automation company. But I go out to events, I go to startup events, I go to conferences, and I meet people and I build those connections one on one and find a way to support them. Because oftentimes people are like, wow, that guy was, I like the advice he gave me, and then they'll come back for other advice, and it's like over the course of 6 months they end up as a customer. um, so that side of things, you know there's not a way to stand out. On the SaaS side of things, right, we found a application for a company, or an application for AI that is, we're seeing similar usage patterns throughout the industry, but in other industries. And so we're applying the same methodology to a smaller niche, and it kind of gives us the ability to go in and use a proven technology to do something that no one else is necessarily doing well yet. So that's kind of how we stand out there. And again, the strategy is the same: go to conferences, talk to people, meet in person, show them your stuff, right? Get enough momentum that you are profitable, and then the sky's the limit.
Thank you. Alex, let's talk about business model of your company. How it's work? It's like a one-time project, subscriptions, or something else. Tell a little bit
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, so Wise Owl is definitely contract based, right? You hire us, we would look at your company and alleviate some pain for you, and we do it on a per project basis. Some companies have us on retainer just because they want to keep using us, but it's very much a, you have something that's bothering you, we'll come fix it. The make data speak human side of things is a SaaS model. It's a subscription based. We're doing cost plus, so there's a base price plus a additional fee if you use all of the processing that's provided in the base price.
And how do you keep your customers engaged long term, especially as their needs evolve?
That's a good question. The SaaS side of things, I can't answer that yet because we're just now launching our SaaS with a few design partners and customers, right? So it's very small at the moment, but we're going to ramp that up soon. The um, the consulting side, that's really, it's just about managing those relationships, keeping in touch with people. Hey, how's it going? How's the solution we delivered working? Do you have any questions? Just being available, offering people those kinds of things, especially in a consultancy or an automation service. That white glove relationship is what matters the most, because a lot of times they're paying you because they like working with you, not necessarily because you offer something that no one else can.
Yeah, exactly. And let's talk about your team. Are you solo founder or you have a co-founders, and how many
Yeah,
employees
so
in your startup?
I was a solo founder when I got into launch. I now have 5 people in the company, so it's myself. I have 2 co-founders. Then I have an intern who we're hoping to promote to our customer success person. And then I also have an outsourced engineer. So the two co-founders are also, well, they're very technical. I'm more of the product guy. And then we have the engineer for additional support. So there's 5 of us now.
5. Oh, it's awesome. It's, based on my experience, it's very tough to find right person in your team.
Mm.
And it's um, I'm very interesting. How did you find the right mix of skills and how you understand that I want to work with this guy?
Mm. Yeah, this was something I was asking when I got into Founder U. And so I've had luck recently. I don't know how repeatable this is, but this is the strategy I took. I went to a co-working space, specifically a startup co-working space. Um, and I was just meeting people here because I'm B2B. I have to meet small businesses. And I ended up getting a desk here and I really enjoyed it. But just being around people, getting to know them in that space, we're all people that have similar goals, similar drives. So it's conducive for finding a potential co-founder. But additionally, I sit right next to the people that ended up becoming, my co-founders, and it's just, we were there together working every day. They saw how hard I worked. I saw how hard they worked. We asked each other for help on stuff. And it was just little bits of, hey, can you help me solve this problem? They helped me, I helped them. And we realized actually we work really well together, right? And we think similarly. And we became friends. And then honestly, the more I've gotten into it, the more I feel that business is like dating. It's really very similar.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's networking. Yeah, it's very important. And we understand that your startup on the early age stage. And looking ahead, what big milestone do you see over the next 1 or 2 years?
Man, 2 years is a long time. Um, I put together a pro forma for the end of launch, and I think if we aggressively pursue of course, business never happens the speed that you want it to happen. It seems like it's always slower, no matter how hard you set your sights or how hard you push. But yeah, I mean, I think by the end of this year, our goal is to have enough customers to be profitable full time. No, and we'll probably shut down the consulting side and fully switch to SaaS. Um, that's our immediate goal. So we've got 4 months to deliver on that. No pressure. Then the goal after that, I think we should probably be able to 5x our volume, and that would get us almost halfway. Actually, that would probably get us all the way to a Series A. Um, so that's really our goal, is immediately is get enough customers to shut down the consulting side, and then the second step is 5x that volume to get to Series A.
What's been your toughest challenge in building your startup so far, and how did you overcome it? What's the one thing you wish you would know before starting?
That's a tough thing to answer. Um,
Of course.
the toughest challenge, I forget who it was. If it was I think it was actually Elon Musk that said this, but he said being an entrepreneur is like staring into the abyss and eating glass. Um, and what he means by that is it's all uncertainty and it's not fun. It's rewarding, of course, but it is not fun. And as you get higher up the ladder, you get a bigger company, the problems you have to solve are more difficult because that's why they're ending up on your plate if you're at the top of the pyramid, right? Um, so that's number one. Like, so much of it is a mind game. Like, you have to decide that that's what you want to do, and you have to commit to it. That's number one. Number two, probably one of the bigger lessons I learned was that when I was first starting out, I had a cushy runway ahead of me. I had I had more than enough, and I wasn't willing to sacrifice enough because I was well, let me rephrase. I wasn't willing to sacrifice like certain standards for like, oh, this has to look perfect or polished, or this has to be completely scalable the day one that it's released. Those kinds of things. The perfection being enemy of um, the enemy of progress. Um, it wasn't until I ran out of money that I was willing to sacrifice on those quality standards. And I realized that the people I was serving really didn't care about some of that stuff. They're like, hey, we're a smaller business. We don't care about this. Just get it out the door. And it was like that pressure. So, like, literally the pressure of being close to failure caused me to learn things that I wouldn't have been able to learn if I had been funded fully the whole way. Like, it was getting to that ramen and PB and J stage of life that allowed me to grow the most. So yeah, you probably will have to hit the bottom before you really blossom.
Exactly, Alex. And finally, what's one piece of your advice you will give to someone who watching our podcast and starting their first startup today?
It's such a platitude, but this is the advice that I wish I had listened to. Just start. Um, like, if you're afraid to do it, or oh, I won't possibly have enough time, don't make the goal being successful. Make the goal spending 2 hours a week on it, right? Make the goal putting the time in. It's like going to the gym. The goal is to keep going, right? Not to not give up. And that you will find that just treating it like a hobby, but putting time into it, eventually you'll get vested interest in it and you'll start putting more time into it, and then it will start taking over your life. If it's really what you want, then you'll be working nights and weekends on it and you'll be like addicted to it, if it's really for you, right? um, so that's what I would recommend. Just start and see if it grows into something, because that you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to jump off the cliff. At some point you will have to, but don't think that because you haven't jumped, you can't start yet. A lot of times you'll learn so much along the way that it will be the most impactful thing that you did, is that time that you spent just playing at the beginning.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. It was fantastic podcast. Thank you for sharing your story and vision. I wish you all the best. I wish you success in your business. So, and we will hope we will make another podcast with you
Mm.
in 3, 6 months, and you'll see some progress.
I
Thank you.
hope so too. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
See you. Bye.